What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of JK Sports. It's your boys, Jack Feldman and me, Kevin Humpherys, coming at you from a little different studio today. Tonight, I'm here in the Coup Connect studio. So, if for whatever reason you're seeing this, go follow Coup Connect because we do player interviews every single week and a lot of not insider information, but a lot of good information on the program comes from those interviews. So if you're a fan of BYU, go and check out Coup Connect. Jack, minutes ago, the college football playoff rankings were just released. And we I honestly thought they did a great job. I'll just tee you up like what stood out to you about the rankings.
No, I was getting ready to come on here and just go absolutely berserk on the fact that they have Texas super high and Utah not high enough, but I was wrong. I think they really did a good job on this one. The biggest thing that I was looking forward to was seeing where all the Big 12 teams lied. I was talking to you a couple days ago saying that I wanted to do a preview, but the post works as well because I wanted to focus on how Utah was being disrespected in the
Yep.
top 25.
They're ranked 17th in the AP poll and ranked 13th in the CFP poll. Texas Tech is ranked 9th in the AP poll, 8th in the CFP rankings, and then BYU's 8th in the AP and 7th in the college football playoff rankings. So the committee, who's headed by a Big 12 athletic director, likes the Big 12 teams more than the AP poll voters do.
100%. And it all starts with Utah. I was thinking about it the other day with Utah, and they're 7-2, and they have 6 games that they've won by 30 plus.
Right.
And their 2 losses are to a number 8 and 9 in the AP and 7 and 8 in the college football playoff rankings. So two top 10 teams they've lost to. One possession for BYU. Texas Tech was neck and neck for 3 quarters. So Utah has played 2 top 10 teams very closely. And I was about to come in here say, oh, if this was an SEC team with the same resume, they'd be
Notre
in the
Dame.
they'd
Notre
be
Dame.
in the top 10. They'd be top 15. And
Notre,
we got it.
yeah, Notre Dame's point differential this season, in their losses, they lost 2 games by a combined total of 4 points. One of those a 3-point loss at Miami. First game of the season. Miami's 6-2, Notre Dame 6-2. So I was a little surprised. I was a little surprised to see the committee just kind of go in and say, even though Miami has the head-to-head win over Notre Dame, they're 8 spots apart, right? Which is how the AP poll has it too, 18 and 10. But I mean, it's hard because we get into the gray area because it's like, well, head-to-head didn't matter. They have the same record and have a win over that team, but head-to-head didn't matter there. But then you look at other games like Texas and Oklahoma. Texas has the head-to-head win over Oklahoma. If they played that game on a neutral field 10 times with a healthy John Mateer, I'm probably picking Oklahoma to win more of those games than Texas from what we've seen from both of those teams the entire season, right? But in this case, the committee decided to go with head-to-head as to why Texas was ranked higher than Oklahoma. I was really interested to see like the top 3, the last 3-0 teams. Jack, did you have any problem with it being Ohio State at 1, Indiana at 2, and Texas A&M at 3? Because it was very interesting to hear a Buckeye, Joey Galloway, complain about Texas A&M not being the top team in the country.
Yeah. I mean, it almost feels like you have to keep Ohio State at 1 because they haven't done anything to make it for them not to be number 1, right?
Right.
And so that's the biggest thing for me is like they started number 1. If they don't lose, you got to keep them at number 1.
Right.
Even if the resumes for Texas A&M and even Indiana are better than Ohio State's. Yeah, they beat Texas It was the first game of the season, 14-7, ugly game. Then they beat Illinois at Illinois, good win. But everything else, I mean, you played Penn State at home, who's not Penn State this year. You beat
Washington
at you beat Washington
at Wash.
away. So, I mean, they've had good wins, but you also look at Indiana and Texas A&M, and they've Indiana, I mean, they're taking care of business, and they beat Oregon on the road,
On
which
the
is
road.
nearly impossible.
Yes. But
They also beat Illinois 63-10.
yeah,
And then you got A&M, who just goes through a gauntlet every year in the SEC, who's looked
and beat
very
Notre
dominant.
Dame at Notre Dame too. So, I mean, to me, like A&M's win at Notre Dame too, it was I mean, let's be real here. Notre Dame lost the game because of a lot of reasons, but one of the very apparent reasons was the holder dropped the snap on the extra point, and then that game didn't go to overtime. Right. That so I mean, maybe you look at that as like, you know, may maybe they're holding that against A&M a little bit. Let's see here. I actually don't think they have another ranked win on the in the CFP rankings, right? Because they haven't played Bama, Georgia, Ole Miss, Texas, Oklahoma. Let's see. They
No,
haven't played Vandy or Missouri, so or Tennessee. So they've really like Notre Dame is what they're hanging their hat on, and then like wins against okay SEC teams like LSU's okay, but that was the team gave up on their coach that night. That's what that was. So
mhm.
I think they got it right. If you want Texas A&M to be higher, they can be. I think the path for Texas A&M is there to be the number one team at the end of the season because they play Texas. I believe they play Oklahoma or someone else coming up soon. For Indiana and Ohio State, like Ohio State plays Michigan, so that's another good game. But for Indiana, it's just Ohio State. That's all they have left. Um, and I think they really just said, like, I really think that it just comes down to Ohio State has the best defense in the country. Indiana has the second best defense in the country, and Texas A&M scores 50 points a game, and their defense is solid. So,
No, yep.
I mean, I don't really have a problem with that. Bama and Georgia being 4 and 5, basically, if these teams and like honestly, like Bama, Georgia, and Ole Miss, as long as they have 2 losses at the end of the season, I think these teams are basically locks. I'm really fascinated to see what, like, if BYU loses to Texas Tech or Texas. I think it would a loss would probably hurt Texas Tech more than it would hurt BYU. But like, if one of those two teams loses, how far do they fall? Like, do they get pushed behind that big SEC group, or is there a way where if BYU loses, do they fall to 10? Do they fall to like do they fall right in front of Utah at 13 or whatever happens? And then again, you only have one Big 12 team in the conversation. But right now, the winner of Texas Tech BYU is basically a lock for um for the playoffs because they'll be in the Big 12 championship game, and then all they have to do is I think as long as both teams have one loss going in the Big 12 championship game, I think both teams are getting in.
No, I definitely agree with that. I think if you were a Big 12 fan and you want as many Big 12 teams in the playoff as possible, you're cheering for Texas Tech this weekend to beat BYU because then they'll both be 8-1, plus one conference game. They'll end up, if all goes to plan, they'll
Right.
meet up in the conference championship. Doesn't matter who wins because it shouldn't affect that, so they say.
Yes.
Um, but again, with the Big 12, if you're a Utah fan, I think you're in prime position too,
Yeah, I mean,
because
just keep winning and you might be on the cut.
you're on that cut because you're going to have a lot of SEC battles. Texas has to play
Texas
A&M
and Georgia.
and Georgia, so
So
you can
they're
pass them.
yeah, cuz
And then you got Oklahoma that has to play in the SEC. And then Oregon could slip up in the last 3 games.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oklahoma plays at number 4 Alabama in 11 days, and then they play at home versus number 22 Missouri. So the likelihood that Texas and Oklahoma have 3 losses at the end of the season means for your Utah, Virginia, I think Vanderbilt's probably, I mean, if they beat Tennessee at the end of the season, like maybe they can sneak in at 10-2, but like the door is wide open for BYU, Texas Tech, Utah, Virginia, even Louisville. Like as long as they keep winning, and it like if you play in your conference championship game in the ACC and the Big 12, like you should feel pretty good that you might have a chance to get 2 teams in, which I did not think was possible starting the season. Oregon still plays at Washington at the end of the season, and they play USC. And honestly, if a 2-loss Oregon team, their best win is, right now it's Northwestern. If it's against a 3-loss USC team at the end of the season, and you're a Texas Tech and you have a win over BYU, and but you lose in the conference championship game, and have 2 losses, like you should definitely be in over a who was I just talking about? Over a Oregon team that finishes the season 10-2, right? So really positive takeaways from the Big 12. If you're an ACC fan, you are kicking yourself because you are dominating. Let's see, it's Virginia, Louisville, Georgia Tech, Miami, all between 14 and 18. And and like Georgia Tech still plays Georgia at the end of the season too. So like if you're an ACC fan, you're kind of hitting the panic button because of what Georgia Tech and Miami did last weekend.
yeah. And that's what it comes down to is like it really matters what you do, especially at the end of the year. I mean, if Georgia Tech lost this game in week 4, I bet they're in the top 13 right now,
Right.
top 10 maybe.
They're
So,
they're probably like right next to BYU. They're probably
right.
8 or
Yeah.
7 and BYU's 8.
Yep. And so it really depends on when you lose. And that's why I love these last 3 weeks because I think it's going to be just 3 to 4 weeks. There's just so much chaos
Right.
that's going to happen. And this is going to change so much. And that's what you love to see out of just a college football fan in general.
Right. Let's to kind of wrap up the college football talk. I'll just start at 25 and you tell me yes or no if they still are alive for the playoff. Tennessee,
No,
Pittsburgh, and
no,
caveat too, like at large, Pittsburgh obviously still has a chance because they haven't
right.
lost in the ACC. So if they win out, then they do have
Yes,
a chance. But like at large, no. Washington,
no,
Missouri,
probably not.
I don't think so. Michigan, if they beat Ohio
Yes,
State, and then I
if they
guess
win out, they're going to be in the conference championship anyway.
yeah, and then okay, but that's a good question. If they make it to the conference championship game and lose to Indiana, like do they still sneak in
It,
as a 3-loss team? Because in my opinion, I think they should because that Ohio State win would be the best win in the country.
it
But
would be.
then that shakes up everything that we just talked about.
Yeah. I don't think they'll put them in if that happens.
Okay. I wouldn't be shocked, but I do think that Michigan would be deserving because here's the thing. If you want more out of conference beginning of the season games and you punish Michigan for losing at Oklahoma in week 2, then guess what? Everyone's going to do the Indiana and Penn State where they just play pushovers for 4 games and then they play their conference slate. So
Hmm.
I'm hoping that we see, common sense prevail in that situation where, a team should be rewarded for scheduling going on the road to Oklahoma and playing a football game And if that loss is what keeps them out, then what's the point of playing games? Like everyone should just schedule the easiest teams in the country if it's all based off record. But I agree, like I don't think they will beat Ohio State, so we won't have to worry about that. Iowa, no. USC, yeah. USC has Oregon left on their schedule.
If they beat Oregon.
And if they beat Oregon and like also didn't, I guess their one loss is to, like, they have a loss to Notre Dame. They have who's their other loss to?
Illinois.
Yeah,
On the road.
That one's tough. But if they finish strong, like maybe there's a case, but I don't see it. Miami, no. Georgia Tech,
No. Yes.
yeah. I
Because
think
they're a one-loss team. Any one-loss team is still alive. If they win out, you have to be in.
so let's say they, like, if they beat Georgia and like lost in the ACC championship game, or heaven forbid they lose another game in ACC play, but then beat Georgia and they're 10-2 at the end of the season, like, is a Georgia win at 10-2, is a Georgia win enough to get them into the playoff?
I don't think so. I think you have to win the conference at that point just because there's no room at the end of the day. And so it's got to be, you got to win out if you're Georgia Tech. If that happens, you're most likely playing in the conference championship. Win or loss, you should be in.
Yeah, I think so. And then Vandy,
I don't
like,
think so.
if there's a lot of chaos, then yes. In the
I don't
SEC
see it.
specifically.
Yeah.
Because, like, if Texas is 8-4 and Oklahoma's 8-4 at the end of the season, then they're
Yes.
kind of the next SEC team in weight, is as long as they're 10-2.
Correct.
Louisville and Virginia, yes, both one-loss teams. I think that should be the ACC championship game. We'll see if that happens. And then, my gosh, Oklahoma and Texas being 11-12, just right outside the playoff cut line. Like, at 9-3, maybe Oklahoma gets it done just because their strength of schedule is, like, Oklahoma to me is the one team that has a legitimate case if they're 9-3 because of their schedule. Obviously, everyone ranked ahead of them is still alive, but they play 15 Michigan, they play Texas, they play Ole Miss, they play Tennessee, they play Alabama, they play Missouri, they play LSU. I think you go 9-3 with that schedule. I think you are deserving, but maybe you don't make the cut. But they would be deserving at 9-3 in my opinion because of the schedule they played.
They would. I think it would be hard to see a 9-3 team when you got 11-1 teams missing out, 10-2 teams missing out, where their only losses were to teams in the playoffs already.
Right.
So that would be a hard pill to swallow if you're any college football fan.
Right.
But like you said, Oklahoma is that kind of team. If they're 9-3 with that schedule, I mean, all their losses are going to be to also people from the bracket already. So, I mean, there's just so much chaos in the SEC. I don't think we're going to have to talk about that with Oklahoma, thankfully. But
Come on, Bama, just beat them. Just beat them
it's
next
nuts.
week.
Yep. So it's just chaos. Chaos upon chaos, as always. And
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not making the decisions.
Okay, so title contender, like real legitimate title contenders right now. Now that we have we haven't really covered it a whole lot on the podcast, like who we think is going to win the national championship. It's November, so I'll give you, let's see. I feel like the top 6 is kind of where like the line is of as far as teams that I think I can see holding the trophy at the end of the college football playoff. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think top 6. I don't love Georgia.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't talk about them too much, and I would replace them with Texas Tech or Oregon. I
Okay.
think either of those teams. So, I mean, I don't think Ole Miss will get it done either. I think it's the top 4 and
Right.
then a Cinderella story. I really do love this Texas Tech team. I've been high on them all year. Best defensive line in the country.
Jacob
Potentially
Feldman,
one of
yes, is the
should be in the
best
Heisman race.
yes, he's the best defensive player in the country, and then
So, I mean, yeah, just defense wins championships, and that's why I got to throw in Texas Tech with that. But I mean, it's got to be the top four in my opinion.
okay,
Alabama is the cutoff for me.
for you. Okay. I think I agree with that too. I think the other team I would throw in is Notre Dame. Look, hear me out. Hear me out. I know they looked I know they had 2 losses at the beginning of the season, but you just look at that team and you can't find me a better running game in the country right now. There isn't a better running back duo. There might not be a better offensive line. And as long as like the defense, they haven't played a lot of great teams since the beginning of the season. But if their defense rounds into form like it should, like they have a lot of talented guys, there were guys that were hurt that didn't play the first couple weeks of the season. So you get everyone back on that team. If you're Notre Dame, you don't really care where you're at. As long as you're healthy, I think they're going to be in the Final Four again with a chance to win a national championship, which is crazy because I mean, they started the season 0-2, but I like honestly my confidence in them has not wavered a whole lot because CJ Carr has to me at least proven that probably not obviously not this season, but in a very soon he will be in the Heisman Trophy conversation once Jeremiah Love graduates from Notre Dame.
That is a good point. The only thing I don't like about Notre Dame is they're independent. They can play anyone they want, and because of their name, they get in. And so
Yeah.
that's my frustration with Notre Dame is the fact that they don't have anyone to play. They could literally play people like Boston College, Stanford,
Yeah.
Boise State, NC State, and you look good
The
because
ACC
those
is
are
not the ACC has not helped them. Has not helped them at all.
it's just nuts to me that you can just be an independent and make it every year because you get to create your own schedule. And so that's my one thing about Notre Dame. I still think they're a great team. Don't get me wrong, but it is frustrating to know that they can create their team or their schedule however they want, and then they get in regardless because they're Notre Dame.
Right. It's interesting because their best win is at home versus USC, who's 20, and then they play number 24 Pitt to end the season. Navy, I think, is like it's a fine football team. Like they're a top 50 program, but like they just at the end of the season, it's gonna be hard like with other 10-2 teams when you just look at the resumes. Like I think Notre Dame is like you watch the tape and you're like, man, this team deserves to be in the playoff, right? But then if you look at the resume and you have like a 10-2 Vandy team who's been through friggin' the gauntlet and somehow survived a 10-2, or Oklahoma if they somehow come out on the other side, like it's just like Notre Dame doesn't like their ceiling is not that high in the rankings. Like maybe they can climb one or two more spots, but there's definitely a lot of teams in the SEC that have the ability to like leap for like Notre Dame's definitely a leapfrog team in the rankings right now because of how soft their schedule is the rest of the season.
And that's like if I'm Notre Dame and I'm creating my schedule, I do it the exact same way
Yeah.
because you say, "Oh, we played two top 10 teams." And then you play a cupcake schedule,
Yeah.
lack of a better words, to finish the rest of the 9, 10 games that you have, throw in another top 25 team, and you can say, oh, we played 3 top 25 teams. And then you look like you have a good schedule when in reality, it's not the same as we thought it was.
What's unfortunate is when they scheduled Arkansas was probably better than the dumpster fire they are right now.
That is
Boise
true.
State's probably better than they probably thought Boise State was going to be better.
Hmm.
They probably thought that Syracuse probably would have a starting quarterback because if Syracuse has a starting quarterback, they're easily in the mix in the ACC, in my opinion. It's just that they can't throw the football. Their offense is a disaster after their starting quarterback went down. So, like, I don't think they went out and explicitly said we need to schedule a soft schedule. I just think sometimes Notre Dame has the hardest schedule in the country. and sometimes it breaks in their favor that it's a little bit easier because they're scheduling these games 8 to 10 years in advance.
Hmm.
So, I
It's a
mean,
really
that's
good point.
yeah, that's just kind of how it works with Notre Dame. Sometimes it's murderer's row, and sometimes it's this year where your first 2 games are not great. Because like, when they scheduled this game, they probably were like, Miami's like, when they scheduled this game, Miami was probably not the number 10 team in the country when they scheduled it, right? So it's just hard to predict the future, if you're Notre
Good point.
Dame. Jack, we've gone 20 minutes. Honestly, the committee didn't give us a whole lot to talk about because we kind of agree with just about everything they did. But college basketball tipped off last night. Are you So my biggest takeaway was, and this is something I've thought for a while, is that Koa Pete from Arizona deserves to be in the conversation with the AJ DeBansas of the world, the Darian Petersons of the world. Like, I think he deserves to be in that conversation. Maybe he's not as high of a NBA draft guy or whatever, but as far as college basketball is concerned, he looks on par with any of those guys that have been talked about as being like generational prospects.
Yeah. I mean, I think you got everyone that's listening is going to roll their eyes saying that we knew he was going to be good. But I watched the U18 like
Yeah.
FIBA stuff this
Yes.
summer,
He
and
was
he seemed
awesome.
like he was the one leading the team a
Yes.
lot of the time.
Yes.
And so it all comes down to that of like his mentality, his, oh, we need a bucket. I'm going to go get us a bucket. Everything like that. It's like, yeah, I'm that guy. And so I'm excited to see him, especially in the Big 12 this year.
He's gonna be he's gonna be electric to watch. I think this Arizona team, like, I thought that they would be like pretty good coming into the season. I didn't know how all the freshmen were gonna blend with their seniors, but it looks like everyone's cool with Koa Pete being the guy, and then Jaden Bradley's, you know, showed that he can do some damage getting into the paint, into the lane. I was worried about the guard spot with Caleb Love leaving, but looks like Jaden Bradley has that on lockdown. So very, very impressed with Arizona because they beat what was thought to be the best front line in the country, starting front line that won a national championship last year. And they really took it to Florida. It was definitely by far the better game to watch visually, but we did see AJ DeBansa make his debut against Villanova. What was your kind of initial takeaway from seeing him in his first legitimate college game?
Um, my biggest takeaway is I think BYU has a curse on them. Anyone that has that jersey cannot shoot free throws.
Uh,
And that's my biggest
I'm
takeaway.
I'm concerned that it goes more than just free throws this season. I think
But go
I
ahead.
they only took 17 threes yesterday, and that's not a winning number in my opinion. The reason why Villanova was in that game is because they doubled them in attempts and makes from 3.
Right. And so, but you look at this BYU roster and you ask who's going to hit threes.
Richie.
And it really comes down to three guys. It's Richie, Moo Davis, and Bruce if he gets minutes. And so, yeah, Moo Davis looked great. He
He
hit
did.
a few corner threes.
Yeah.
Richie hit a couple threes, but outside of that, they don't have 3-point shooters on that team.
Yeah.
And so I am interested to see how that unfolds because how Kevin Young runs the offense, it's drive, kick, get offensive rebounds, kick out threes, right? And so I saw a few offensive rebounds and they didn't kick it out to the open shooter.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's because do we trust our guys to hit threes? And at this point, it looks like we don't. And it's
Right.
already one game in.
Right. It's going to be interesting to see because I think looking at this BYU roster, you look at it and you're like, "Man, this should be a Final Four team." But then you peel back the layers and you're like, "Man, if AJ DeBansa's not like," and AJ's fantastic. he doesn't have like a college basketball forward body yet, where he's just gonna be able to eat the glass, get like 8 to 10 rebounds a game. Maybe he could at the end of the season. We'll see. But like he's still pretty skinny, which is no shot against him. Like he's 18. I'm not expecting him to be a fully matured adult yet. But like outside of Kebaketa, they don't really have like rebounders, except for Boop. So
He can't catch the ball though.
yeah, that's the problem is, like, you kinda have to decide, like, are we gonna rebound today or are we gonna shoot threes today? And, it's gonna be interesting because there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle, and if there's anyone that can do it in college basketball, Kevin Young definitely can. Like, as far as, like, figuring out the spacing, figuring out the how everything works. They've been just kinda letting, um, AJ and
Robert
Robert
Wright.
Wright, yeah, just go to work at the top of the key, and then they're just keeping everyone super flat on the baseline. We'll see if that's a winning strategy the entire season. Those guys are awesome, but is our offense gonna be, Keba Gortat screens and, like, 3 across the entire season? We're gonna find out, but,
I
they
hope
do
not.
they I'm hoping that at some point this season, we see this team take a leap and become a fast-paced ball movement. Everything's moving, taking a lot of threes. With AJ specifically, I thought there were a few times where he caught the ball and it should have just been, "Oh, I'm open from behind the three-point line. I'm gonna shoot it." And then instead, he just like drove to the basket and you know, when he drives to the basket, like, good things are gonna happen, but the easier option was for sure, just stop, take the 3. You miss it. You're open from 3, you're AJ Debance, like, it's something you're gonna have to hit for the rest of your life.
Right. And that's what it comes down to is I feel like they were almost timid to shoot threes.
Mhm.
Like at the end of the day, just let it fly. You
Yeah.
got to shoot threes. You got to shoot threes. If you don't do it in this on this level at the college level, you're certainly not going to do it in the NBA because that's literally all they do in the NBA is drive and kick corner threes, spot up threes, fast break, you shoot threes. I mean, you're just going to have to shoot threes if you're AJ DeBossa.
Yeah, same with Robert Wright too, like,
Mm-hmm.
guess what, if you're a point guard in the NBA, you come off the
Got to
ball
shoot.
screen and they go under, all the only option you have is to shoot. I mean, heck, I watch the Suns every night. Colin Gillespie knows. Like, as soon as I have an inch to shoot a 3, I have to shoot it or I can't play in the NBA. And he is not traditionally a three-point shooter. It's something he had to basically do after he left college. Because in college, he was playing booty ball. He was trying to post up guards. And in the NBA, he's coming off screens, like, looking to pull up from 3. So, um, should be interesting to see going forward. Unfortunately, I wasn't 100% locked in because my Arizona Cardinals got the W last night. Let's go, Walter Nolan. I wish you had played all season because I realistically believe the Cardinals would be over 500 right now if you had played all season. Same with Garrett Williams, Dallas Cowboys. Yikes. That was that was not fun to watch from the Dallas Cowboys. That was pretty miserable. Hopefully, YouTube TV and it sucked too. No one was watching Monday Night Football yesterday because no one had YouTube TV. So, well,
It is true.
no one even got to see my Cardinals win. No one got to see my sweet baby boy Marvin Harrison have a career high in receptions.
Respectfully, I don't think anyone was tuning into this game regardless.
It's the Cowboys, man.
Everyone ate. Okay, hate watch.
Okay, I've been thinking this. I don't think the Cowboys are America's team anymore. Like for our demographic. Like I don't think people 25 years and younger are Cowboys fans anymore. I think that basically you have to be 40 plus to be a Cowboys fan.
It's the Chiefs now.
Mm. I do love Patrick Mahomes.
Everyone loves the Chiefs.
I do love Patrick Mahomes, man.
You can't not.
I loved him at Texas Tech. I went back. I like once or twice a year I go back and just watch Texas Tech's highlights first.
He
Oklahoma,
was
when
electric.
he and Baker both threw for like 800 yards or whatever. That my
We'll
gosh.
see him on college game day probably.
I hope so, man.
They're on a bye. Him
That
and Andy
yes,
Reid.
he will be. Oh, can we have both of them on? I hope
That's
so,
what I'm
man.
hoping for.
I'm
That's
hoping
my I
game
hope.
game day is pretty smart, so I'm sure they've definitely they're gonna try that.
They've
But
reached out, that's for sure.
yeah, well, I hope that's what we see. If we see I hope there's some kind of bet too between Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes too. That I want to know what that bet is. Maybe we'll find out. Maybe we won't. Hopefully, Patrick Mahomes has to wear a Bear Bachmeyer jersey or something. That would
I was
be
about to say he has to go to church with Andy Reid on Sunday.
yeah. Go teach primary. I think last I knew, I think his calling was to teach primary on Sundays. I'm guessing that's probably a February to July calling where he's
Yeah,
teaching primary. But yeah, he's gotta go to church, go to some youth event in Kansas City with Andy Reid. I think I you know, let Patrick Mahomes share the good Lord's gospel. Am I right?
let's go. Let's make it happen.
Absolutely. Jack, this was fun. Maybe we'll do more of these reaction shows. Maybe we won't. If the committee continues to nail it every week, there's not going to be any content for us. We were both hoping to be fired up about something, and they didn't give it to us. They really didn't give it to us. So we'll be back soon. Probably a football preview for the weekend. Should be an exciting weekend of football. Jack, thank you for coming on, and we will see everyone later.
Peace out.